Hi there, this is David. I'm back here on the air broadcasting live. I wanted to do a second little broadcast today because I'm so excited about my research and findings, digging into what is commonly referred to as the Bering Strait land bridge. We're talking about the historical one, not the current one. There's no land bridge between Alaska and Russia currently. And this area has also been given a name, Beringia. Okay, I was taught this in my K through 12 schooling, um, that in ancient history there was a land bridge in that zone that bridged from, what do they call it, Russia, Siberia over to what is actually Alaska. And let me get up some details for people here. Sure, I say things perfectly. Let's see. There's a great Scientific American article on it, and I wonder how many people actually, how many of you actually knew, actually know, or were taught this, that there was such a land bridge that existed? Because scientifically speaking, um, it's not really doubted scientifically. What's been called into doubt scientifically is if people use that to cross over from Siberia to Alaska. Yeah, the Scientific American article here defines it as across from Siberia to Alaska on a land bridge. Okay, the existence of the bridge is not really doubted. What's doubted is how far back um, Native Americans existed in North America. Okay, and I'm seeing different research, between 2014 and 2016, 2017. It's all quite interesting. And so I've started to ask people, have you heard of the Bering Strait land bridge? What year did you go to high school? Where? Because I got my schooling in Wisconsin, and they taught us about the Bering Strait land bridge as a historical reality. When you think about it biblically, there would have to be something like that, some way for people to have traveled from the origin of man over Mesopotamia, uh, cradle of civilization, some way for humans to have traveled from where life started for men in the Garden of Eden and in those areas in the Middle East where they spread later. And there must have been some way for people to get over to North America so that there um, could have been Native Americans. Because when I'm stating the obvious here, when Christopher Columbus and the other explorers before and after, the explorers after him, found that there were Native Americans populating North America. So, I mean, I've been asked the question, I was asked the question when I was on 3rd Street talking in the microphone. Someone asked me the same thing. How can the Bible be true when they found Native Americans? So I said, well, why? Like, have you ever heard of the land bridge they had existed that helped people cross over from Siberia to Alaska? So I just wonder why that's such hidden information from people. How that goes on. I don't doubt it has to do with liberalism and so forth, and protecting the interests of the natives and all those things. But the interesting thing is the discussions that go on about it. I'll get into that. But the broader implications of this and the symbolic implications are also interesting, because what that is a bridge from east to west, when now there is no such thing. You have to get there by by boat. Let me backtrack a little bit and say that the modern theory now, as of this year, is that people traveled by boat to North America from Siberia or Asia and those places. And I'll get into that, I guess. But a bridge from east to west, that's an interesting idea. These days, when you have, for example, Hank Hanegraaff, the Bible Answer Man, converted to Eastern Orthodoxy. So, like in a symbolic way, how can we bridge like east to west and get a better understanding and understand sound doctrine and so forth? I'm not like defending Eastern Orthodoxy or something, but then again, like to get the gospel to the east and those types of things, I'm not going to get too far into it. I'm just talking broad symbolic terms. Also, speaking like on a personal level, when I wrote the book that has the Zoharistic implications music, the Samanto Kenohara, that thing also started with that idea, like how am I going to bridge a chasm that is like bridging east to west? And it has some ideas that are more Eastern in nature in it. Nor am I an Eastern Orthodoxy person, and nor am I a mystical Jew. Anyway, but what started with that inquiry became a musical template that shares the mathematical parameters with the Hebrew language. They created the template first when I went back and investigated and started looking at more Kabbalah and more Zohar stuff. It shares some math, let's just say, which is quite strikingly Jewish and Hebrew in nature. Okay, so that could be something to look at, perhaps, as an answer for that whole problem. Anyway, the Bering Strait land bridge has an interesting function in that if you, I mean, the topic does, if you just simply believe what everyone says, it would sound strange. And if you just believe what the scientists, you know, the researchers that are published on the matter, you'll not be reading people that really buy into young Earth theory or a young Earth perspective, which is a biblical perspective. Okay, you're looking at research from people that philosophically buy into old Earth. They're talking in terms of 15,000 years ago. From the scriptures, I don't get that. I don't get that things are even that old. I mean, if you look at the Great Flood, for example, from a biblical worldview, you have to work around the Great Flood. And so we're talking about something where the waters had to cease before there was any kind of Bering Strait land bridge that people could cross over. So speaking from a biblical perspective, I'm talking about a Christian scientific point of view that contradicts what is talked about in scientific circles where they're buying into like old Earth theory, okay? And I do think about it as a philosophical presupposition or a philosophical bias, where that is the case of the matter. So, I mean, I have relatives. I'll just be honest. I know people personally, okay, and they're supposed to be holding to the Bible. They're supposed to be holding to the Bible. All right, but how are they going to talk about the Bering Strait land bridge and at the same time hold to a biblical worldview, which is going to suggest a younger Earth? Okay, and then there's Hugh Ross. Hugh Ross, I've respected a great deal. Hugh Ross obviously holds to old Earth creationism. It's getting loud here in the establishment that I'm in. I apologize. Hugh Ross holds to old Earth creationism and believed in a local flood when the so-called Great Flood happened. There's some interesting arguments, on the internet. I see they've taken down, his ministry has possibly taken down some of their material. I've got an article here from Answers in Genesis, talking about the difficulties with the Ross model, the local flood. Just to present some of these, the Ross model includes no physical barrier to impound the water necessary to flood Mesopotamia. Genesis 7:19 says that. Point number 2, the lack of drift of the ark. Difficulty 3, the location where the ark came to rest. He has to show how that came to the mountains of Ararat. And there's not a way in his model to show that, they're saying. And that's just to go through it swiftly. There's so much to say. Now currently, like I said, the research researchers are saying that people migrated by boat. And I'm reading that they did that. Let me just get up the article. There's so much to talk about. Yeah, I have it right. See, I always second guess my points. Yeah. The new research, like as of lately, is that they came by boat 15,000 years ago. Okay, and they're dismissing the migration via the land bridge just on one archaeological dig where researchers found archaeology from the Clovis people. I have some of that right here. It's from nature.com, International Weekly Source of Science. I'm going to try to put this up in the chat really quickly, because if you look at the diagram, it looks just ridiculous. Like, you could look at that archaeology where that's located, and you could say with likelihood they probably did cross the land bridge and come down from Siberia. It's not, I don't think it's that like unreasonable. Carbon dating and so forth. Carbon dating, it's not, I question carbon dating, the reliability of carbon dating anyway. Let's go ahead and put the website up in the chat. If you look at where those digs were done that call the whole thing into question, they found this archaeology from the Clovis people. So they're saying that Native American life had to be in North America earlier than when the melting of the glaciers allowed. Okay, they think the window opened later, so therefore they had to have been there some other way. So they're saying it's by boat 15,000 years ago. And then when I read people's opinions and so forth, this is a place where the postmodern haze and glaze meets reality, and the rubber meets the road, and we have a topic that we can discuss where we're talking about something that's been argued. It's like a rubber meets the road type of topic where I can bring it out and say, okay, what about that? What about this situation here? I read something written by someone who tends to side with Native Americans, or they might themselves be a native. It's let's see, nativelanguages.org. I have the whole website. I can put this up too in a few minutes. This person thinks it's okay to say the natives existed in North America since beginning of time, or it's okay to say that they crossed over the Bering Strait land bridge, okay, 20,000 years ago. So he's saying, okay, man, you can have that opinion. If you believe that to be true, that's okay. You have your opinion, I have mine. If you believe that they were there since the beginning of time, that's okay. If you believe they crossed over in the land bridge, that's okay too. I'm accepting of your point of view. It it doesn't really like much matter. This is the thing. Like either the land bridge existed or not. Okay, and science says that it did. Either the land bridge existed or not. And as far as when human life appeared in North America, there was one point in time where the first human life was in North America. And the best thing that the researchers are saying now that they think that they can say is that they came in boats. Okay, okay, all right. So it's probably both the case of the matter in their opinion that the land bridge did exist and that the early natives came in boats to North America. Okay. But anyway, getting back to the liberal arguments of these people, they're accepting points of view that are just vastly different. It's very it's very respectful, but it's also very relativist. Like if you believe that that's true for you, that's fine with me. I don't care if you want to think they came in the land bridge. I personally think this way. If someone wants to think that they existed since the beginning of time in North America, that's okay too. But then there are certain things he's saying here where that's not okay, man. That is not okay. But he's saying if you people who insist that there's a lost tribe of Israel who immigrated across the land or came over from the east to the west, so to speak, he's saying that's not okay with them. Okay, and people who hold to like a younger Earth theory and it insists that they've only been there, the natives have only been there 700, 1,000, 2,000 years. That's not okay with him. Not okay. Not okay. And they think um, with science, I can see what he's saying. Okay, I can see what he's saying. I think in terms of science and fact, that's okay. You'd be talking in terms of like 15,000, 12,000 years, 11,000 years. But is that being respectful to biblical Christians who may only think of like the age of the earth in terms of just many thousands of years, not more than